Chapter 18 Revelation at Yazuac. Although they had managed to partially refill the water skins during the storm, they drank the last of their water that morning. "I hope we're going in the right direction," said Aragon, crunching up the empty water bag, "because we'll be in trouble if we don't reach Yazuac today." Brahm didn't seem disturbed. "I've traveled this way before. Yazuac will be in sight before dusk." Aragon laughed doubtfully. "Perhaps you see something I don't. How can you know that when everything looks exactly the same for leagues around?" "Because I am not guided by the land, but by the stars and sun. They will not lead us astray. Come, let us be off. It is foolish to conjure up woe where none exists. Yazuac will be there." His words proved true. Saphira spotted the village first, but it was not until later in the day that the rest of them saw it as a dark bump on the horizon. Yazuac was still very far away. It was only visible because of the plain's uniform flatness. As they rode closer, a dark, winding line appeared on either side of the town and disappeared into the distance. "The Ninor River," said Brahm, pointing at it. Aragon pulled Caddock to a stop. "Saphira will be seen if she stays with us much longer. Should she hide while we go into Yazuac?" Brahm scratched his chin and looked at the town. "See that bend at the river? Have her wait there. It's far enough from Yazuac, so no one should find her, but close enough that she won't be left behind. We'll go through the town, get what we need, and then meet her." "I don't like it," said Saphira when Aragon had explained the plan. "This is irritating, having to hide all the time like a criminal. You know what would happen if we were revealed." She grumbled, but gave in and flew away low to the ground. They kept a swift pace in anticipation of the food and drink they would soon enjoy. As they approached the small houses, they could see smoke from a dozen chimneys, but there was no one in the streets. An abnormal silence enveloped the village. By unspoken consent, they stopped before the first house. Aragon abruptly said, "There aren't any dogs barking." "No." "Doesn't mean anything, though." "No." Aragon paused. "Should someone have seen us by now?" "Yes." "Then why hasn't anyone come out?" Brahm squinted at the sun. "Could be afraid." "Could be," said Aragon. He was quiet for a moment. "And if it's a trap, the Yazuac might be waiting for us." "We need provisions and water." "There's the Ninor." "We still need provisions." "True." Aragon looked around. "So we go in?" Brahm flicked his reins. "Yes, but not like fools. This is the main entrance to Yazuac. If there's an ambush, it'll be along here. No one will expect us to arrive from a different direction." "Around to the side, then?" said Aragon. Brahm nodded and pulled out his sword, resting the bare blade across his saddle. Aragon strung his bow and nocked an arrow. They trotted quietly around the town and entered it cautiously. The streets were empty except for a small fox that darted away as they came near. The houses were dark and foreboding, with shattered windows. Many of the doors swung on broken hinges. The horses rolled their eyes nervously. Aragon's palm tingled, but he resisted the urge to scratch it. As they rode into the center of town, he gripped his bow tighter, blanching. "Gods above," he whispered. A mountain of bodies rose above them, the corpses stiff and grimacing. Their clothes were soaked in blood, and the churned ground was stained with it. Slaughtered men lay over the women they had tried to protect, mothers still clasped their children, and lovers who had tried to shield each other rested in death's cold embrace. Black arrows stuck out of all of them. Neither young nor old had been spared. But the worst of all was the barbed spear that rose out of the peak of the pile, impaling the white body of a baby. Tears blurred Aragon's vision, and he tried to look away, but the dead faces held his attention. He stared at their open eyes and wondered how life had left them so easily. What does our existence mean that it can end like this? A wave of hopelessness overwhelmed him. A crow dipped out of the sky like a black shadow and perched on the spear. It cocked its head and greedily scrutinized the infant's corpse. "Oh, no, you don't!" snarled Aragon as he pulled back the bowstring and released it with a twang. With a puff of feathers, the crow fell over backward, the arrow protruding from its chest. Aragon fit another arrow to the string, but nausea rose from his stomach, and he threw up over Caddock's side. Brahm patted him on the back. When Aragon was done, Brahm asked gently, Do you want to wait for me outside of Yazuac? No. I'll stay, said Aragon shakily, wiping his mouth. He avoided looking at the gruesome sight before them. Who could have done? He could not force out the words. Braun bowed his head. Those who love pain and suffering of others. They wear many faces and go by many disguises, but there's only one name for them: evil.